the Woodpreneur podcast, where sawmill owners and lumber entrepreneurs grow their businesses. Every week, real stories from the timber industry, whether you're starting small or running a big operation. Subscribe for real stories and insights from the industry. Hello, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Alger, and today I have with me Patrick Chovan with Omega Logging Inc. And so, Patrick, welcome to the show. Hi.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer.
Yeah, of course. So, Patrick, tell me about Omega Logging. How did it get started, and what's the backstory of Omega Logging?
Yes, ma'am. So I am second generation ownership. My father started our company in 1976. So next year we'll be celebrating our 50th year in business. So we're very proud of that.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
a big
you.
milestone.
Yes, ma'am. But yeah, my dad started our company, like I said, in 76, basically just with a checkbook in his truck and one portable sawmill in the woods. Yeah. And so since then, we have grown to be a fairly large player in our region. We operate 5 facilities. We make about 350,000 board feet a week. We manage between 5 and 10,000 acres of timberland at a time. Right now we have 11 logging crews working in the woods. Yeah, become a nice small to medium sized business here.
Nice. So you're doing the logging, you're doing the land management, bringing the logs into 5 different sawmills. Are the 5 different sawmills because of where they're at regionally, or do each one of the sawmills have a different specialty that they do?
Right. So each facility does fairly much the same thing, with a little twist to it.
Okay.
They're all fairly regional within about 30 miles of each other.
Okay.
Basically, where they are is so that we can spread out our timber base a little bit, help with our freight, depending on whatever mill is closer to those specific jobs. So it gives our foresters areas to really concentrate on to cut down as freight. We play such a large part in this business. Basically, just to gives our drivers gives our truckers an option as to which mill to take the logs to.
Okay. That's good to know. So at these different sawmills, what are you mentioned that you started with the portable. Are you running circle mills now? Are you running band mills? A little combination? What does your mill look like, or each of your 5?
So there are multiple mills at every facility. For instance, in Wheatland, we run 2 circles and 2 bands. In Greenville, we run a circle and 2 bands. Clintonville, 2 bands. Harrisville is a band and a circle. So a little mix of equipment at each facility.
Okay. And those are your main head rigs. Are you running resaws? What does your material handling look like on your wonderful East Coast hardwoods that can move around a little more easily than our California hardwoods that are pretty wonky and short?
Yeah. So we run, head rigs, and then each mill is set up with a bull edger. We don't run any, traditional grade resaws that some of the big players do. Our niche has always been in with more of an industrial grade lumber. We run a lot of reman operations, also basically breaking down cans into smaller boards. And now we do cut a good amount of grade lumber, but we've had excellent success on the vertical bands with an edger, make a beautiful grade product. But our main focus is on the industrial side of things.
Okay. So give us an idea of what some of your typical product lines would be that come off of that.
Sure. So we cut a lot of railroad ties, a lot of specialty blocking items. We do have one small pallet shop, but we make a lot of pallet parts, a lot of dunnage, depending on what part of the world you're in is, what the, some different terminology, whether it's blocking or dunnage.
Dunnage. Yeah. We use both out here. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We use both
Okay.
terms out here. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So,
cool.
yeah, that's cut, on average, we probably cut 2 load of grade a day. So we do make you know, we make a decent amount of grade lumber also, but, we market our better logs to some export markets and to some other sawmills. And like I said, we concentrate more on the industrial.
Okay. So your high grade logs, you actually sell more in log form than and doing the processing and breakdown
That's
yourself.
correct.
Okay. Okay. Cool. How is you mentioned export. How is the export market right now for you guys with all the changes? Mm.
It's challenger.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, again, I think we're fortunate to have a really good customer base and
Mhm.
some really good guys on the forestry end that, market to a variety of customers. So
Yeah.
I think we're in better shape than most because of our reputation and our, just how long we've been doing this. But yes,
Yeah.
the grade markets are very challenging right now, just because it's a bit unpredictable as far as what's going on week to week, month to month
Yeah.
right now with the tariff situation. But,
What's it really going to cost? Yeah. 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 Definitely. That can be tough to navigate for sure. I know.
yeah,
I mentioned to you our California hardwoods out here. We were getting calls right before, like in anticipation of the tariffs, to ship a whole lot of Clara walnut out of here. So they were like, "Okay, we've got it now."
yeah, and which I'm sure we'll get into more of this as we go on, but China is obviously such a large user of our hardwood here, um, and really the only huge market left, if you will. So
Mhm.
like our oak here. I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but such a large amount of our red oak here in Pennsylvania and Ohio and New York go to China. So the tariffs have been, like I said, has been a challenge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully it all settles down and ends up well and favorable for for business. So, yeah. So you've got these mills. You've been in this. You said your dad started it. Did you grow up in the logging? Did you grow up working through one of the mills? How'd you work your way up through the
Yeah. So I've been
ranks of Omega?
sure. Yeah. As they say, you're born with sawdust in your blood, but this is
Yep.
all I've really ever done. So stacking lumber as a kid,
Mhm.
take your son to work day with my dad. It was always fun to jump in the car with him, listen to him do his thing, make deals. And, so yeah, most of my summers were spent stacking lumber, pulling grading sticks, spent a few summers in the woods, learning that end a little bit. So yeah, I've always did up all I've ever done. And then after college, I actually went to work for a competitor on purpose, just to kind of get some different, see how somebody else did it. Right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
spent out with them for 2 or 3 years out of college. My dad asked me to come back and help this. And
Great.
yeah,
Help
here
build
I
it up.
am 20 years later.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. And right. And then I kind of took the reins about 10 years ago. And that's when we kind of made the decision to grow. So we've grown about 4 times over in the last 10 years. But there's obviously been
Great.
some ups and downs with the recession and then obviously
Yeah.
COVID and then what we're experiencing right now. But yeah, we've found our footing here.
Okay. So what steps did you take to grow that 4 times over that decade?
Basically adding the facilities, the larger your organization gets and has the potential you get, the more mouths
Mhm.
you need to feed. So
Right? Mhm.
just work hard pushing them sales numbers up and, having and my father now he'll be 79 actually next month.
Mhm.
Still very involved. It's all he knows, but we say kind of watches the battlefield from 10,000 feet. So
Yeah.
he's still here every day telling me what I'm doing wrong.
Of course he is.
He'll tell you I did it. We've done this together as far as growing it to the point we're entrepreneurs of heart and just go after it every day.
Yeah. Okay. So you added facilities, so you had increased production. Was there ever a time where you're looking at it going, shoot, we've got these facilities. Will we sell this extra that we're producing? And what did you do about it?
Right. Yeah. So the sales side has always been, I don't want to say it's easy because nothing's easy, but the sales has always come fairly naturally to me. So as far as selling the production, now that there are some weeks you're like, we might have some holes here and there, but most of our production is really sold before it's cut. So that's,
Oh,
it's
that's wonderful.
a good problem to have. If you ask my foresters, they might not agree with that because their job is to keep logs into the mills, which that side of it is a lot more challenging than the sales side.
Okay. Now, have you ever worked on that side of it?
You know, no, not really.
So,
We
so
like
you
I
just
said,
have
we have
people.
excellent. We have four. We usually have between 4 and 5 foresters. Right now, we have four, and we really trust them to run that side of the business as far as
Mhm.
procurement goes. And we're very, very blessed to have the guys we do on that end.
Great. Great. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's always good
This
to have.
month, they're responsible for the procurement of the timber, um, managing the jobs and the crews, and
Mhm.
making sure the logs stay full of mills. So
Yeah.
logs stay full of mills. Mills stay full of logs.
Yeah. I was processing that in my head. I'm like, okay, I know what you meant. So what is in your 20-year career back? What's or you could even go back to your childhood working in the business. What is the most exciting thing or achievement in your career?
Yeah, exciting. It really has been an honor to work with my father. Although that relationship day to day, maybe some people might get uncomfortable with it, but
I live in that world. I live in
exactly.
that world.
So that has been most days has been a great joy to be able to work with my dad like that every day.
Yeah.
And you know, the growth has been exciting, and it's just breaking it down to a simple form. It's nice to make something every day that a lot of people just kind of trade dollars. Who can At the end of the day, you can walk the yard and see that you actually made something that day. So that can, when you think about that you know, at a very simple level, it's very fulfilling.
Yeah, yeah, very rewarding for sure. I feel you on that. Are there any trends or issues in our industry that you feel really strongly about?
I am very concerned about this, and well, I'll get into that. I'm very concerned about. We have had massive consolidation in the industry. Like, if it was any other industry other than North American hardwood, I think it would be on national news daily that we have lost. Actually, Clay Miller was a guest a few weeks
Yeah,
ago, and
yeah, yeah.
we actually follow each other on LinkedIn, and he provides some really, really good industry commentary. So I was glad to see him and listen to your episode with Clay. But he mentioned the stat that I was going to mention anyways, was the coming out of COVID was we made 16 billion feet as an industry.
Yeah.
This year, we're going to be under 4 billion feet. That's
Mhm.
75% consolidation in 5 years. I mean, if the car industry made 75% less cars today than they did 5 years ago, don't you think everybody would be shouting it?
You'd be screaming. Yes. Yes.
Exactly. So that is our industry is often kind of a hidden silent one. And um, I wish we had better lobbying organizations to let everybody know exactly what's going on in this industry.
Yeah,
Because
better advocacy. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But there's only so many hours in a day.
Right.
I think I'd be a great drum beater for our industry. Yeah, I'm concerned with this consolidation, and honestly, we're still overproduced in the market, and we're getting to a point where um, we can almost cover North American demand with North American production. So the smaller that producer went, pie gets, I don't know what's going to be exported. So I'm
Yeah.
concerned in the next few years with being able to that the industry won't be able to produce to the demands necessary,
Mhm.
especially on. Now, there's so many alternative products now in high end hardwood, with just
Mhm.
as far as you know the white molding trends, the different laminate floors, easier to install, easier to just fill something on them, they're easier to clean, and they're point blank period, it's cheaper. So the demand is not there like it once
Right.
was, but
Right.
without that without the production of your higher end products, I think we're going to run completely short on railroad ties once that market corrects itself, and really on cans for pallet lumber. I think there's going to be a huge shortage of cans in the nearer future, because as soon as the economy takes up a little bit, the pallet demand gets to a point it should be at. I don't know where the lumber is going to come from.
Do you feel like that's log supply? Do you feel like that's ability to produce? Which side of that, or both?
I think it's on ability to produce, just because of the mills that we've lost. So that huge loss,
Mills, yeah.
we're talking about some historic players who got out of the sawmill business. If
Right.
you just take Allegheny Wood Products for a lot, they made 300 million board feet a year.
Right.
Those, and the difference this time is ups and downs in the lumber business. The little guys have always jumped out and then jumped back in.
Because they
I
can
don't
pivot a lot more easily than the big players.
Right. And I don't
Yeah.
see the capital necessary to turn those big mills back on. I don't see it happening this time.
Right. Yeah, that's been a discussion, an ongoing discussion in what can we as smaller producers, how can we fill that gap? How can we educate the smaller producers, and perhaps we work in a more cooperative manner? Perhaps, we look at, okay, the big guys probably aren't coming back, the ones that are missing. What is the next step, and what can we do? And so those are some things that I would love to start having conversations about, is how we're filling that gap and how we're training the workforce to be able to do it. Because working in the sawmill, I mean, sometimes there's a personality that loves it, but it is not for everybody. And we have the
No,
workforce.
yeah. I mean,
It's not easy.
no, this business is hard.
Yeah.
And it's just again, I'm young, I'm 42, so I'm never going to say that I'm not the good old days kind of guy. But
Yeah.
this business is hard, and there's wage rates, because again, the whole process in this business is unlike others, where it's dangerous. There's a lot of different factors that a lot of guys on they can make more money elsewhere and live kind of a more comfortable life, if you will. But
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being negative towards the lumber business, which the lumber business has been wonderful to me and to my family. And I
Mhm.
never want it to come off like that. But, you know, point blank period, it's hard. This business is hard. And that's the steps it takes to make a piece of lumber is a challenging one, as far as finding the trees, cutting the trees, trucking the logs, sawing the logs. It's, it's an,
Yeah, yeah, and drying on our perspective. And I know we don't, when we're selling dunnage, we don't do railroad ties. Our company doesn't, but when we're selling dunnage, we just sell that green. Is that, I presume that would be the same for you. Do you do a lot of drying for your end product?
no. So, not drawing per se, but a lot of heat treating.
Oh, yeah, so you're sterilizing it against pest or
Correct. Yeah. So
okay,
anything exported out of the United States needs to be heat treated. So
right.
I don't know if you know the process. It's heated to a core temperature to kill any
Yep.
um, invasive
Yeah.
species short. But yet,
Yeah.
very, very little dunnage is dried, just from a cost.
Yeah, yeah. We depending on where we're selling it, depends on even if we're required to heat treat it. But if it's staying here in the state and it's a certain species, we don't even need to heat treat it if it's dunnage. But yeah, we'll pop it in the kiln at the end, bring it up to temperature for a duration, and do all the things to protect when we're shipping overseas, and then get our certificates, and make sure it's all good to go. So interesting. You had mentioned lobbying, and I saw and you'd also mentioned LinkedIn earlier, before or after we started recording. And there's Vadim. I noticed he's a big advocate for wood. I don't know what he was lobbying for, what he was advocating for, but I know he had a press pass at the White House last week or week before.
Okay.
And I keep meaning to reach out to him and go, because he is like his whole world is wood, and he actually has a podcast too. And so I want to reach out to him and find out, hey, what are you lobbying for? What can we do to help? What
Sure. Yeah.
what's what you need from us to be able to lobby? Assuming it's a principle we love, but I'm sure it is. So, you know, so but yeah, I note to self to reach out to Vadim or follow what he's doing out there.
Please. Hey.
What's like a specific story or message you really want to get out to the world
Message.
or topic? Maybe there's a topic you want to like what don't people know that you really want them to know about this industry?
Okay. Okay. Great. Yeah. Um, we'll edit these pauses out, Jennifer.
It's all good.
But a topic that I feel passionate about our industry is that I'm sure I can't imagine what it's like being a logging / lumber operation in California. So I commend you for that. There's so much of my life has been, well, you cut down trees, that's bad to the environment. Or, just in your state, look at the regulation that has happened over the last 40 years. And
Yeah.
again,
And that's slated to happen.
sure. And it's not the only reason these happen, but your wildfires are so bad because of your forestry regulations.
Poor forest management.
Correct.
Yeah, lack thereof.
So I have spent so much time over the course of my life defending what my father did, and now kind of defending what we do as an industry, in that a properly managed logging job is better for the environment than one that is unregulated. Um, and
Any day of the week. Yes.
sure, as the landowner, it's a better management of your asset to have a selective cut, I don't need to explain this process to you, but
Right.
maybe it's not easy with a lumber,
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
uh, to allow the smaller trees to flourish, to get the sun, to get the water, to get the space they need to grow. A properly managed, people will ask me, well, do you plant trees? Again, a properly cut timber job will reseed itself. And once you bring that, like you mentioned, your family used every part of the tree. We use every bit of the tree minus the stump is put into production. So it's really, you can't show me a greener industry than the lumber business when you look at it from that point.
Yeah,
I guess
absolutely.
if I wanted somebody to know something about the lumber industry, is that it's very green. And if you threw a pallet in the woods, in the future, that pallet will become the woods. If you throw a plastic pallet into the woods, it will be there for generations.
Exactly. It's not going to decompose. And that's one of the things that I think as an industry we can really focus on is the consumers, especially, for the dunnage, they're not caring as much, but for the pallet industry, they tend to care, but also the consumer industry or the built environment, as it were, they care very much about embodied carbon. Well, wood, although it may cost more and you're thinking, oh, a tree is having to die for this, if we work to educate, and this is one of the things that not even lobbying Washington, but lobbying or educating the consumer, the architects, designers, builders, that built environment material specifiers, educating them that wood is the greenest, most environmentally friendly. It's not just sustainable, it's regenerative. None of the other products, none of those laminate floors are doing that for them. And so really just educating them that their embodied carbon is significantly less. When that building has to come out or when they want to remodel, what happens to all of those synthetic materials? They go into a lake.
Well,
What happens to wood? It's
and I don't,
recycled.
Right. And I've never understood, like I've been to different buildings and hotels that have the LEED green certification labeled
Yeah.
on, and they're all concrete. And I'm like, do you know what it took to make that concrete?
Yes, the embodied carbon is through the roof. And if we look at wood, so yes, we are out there educating. I'm part of a couple of nonprofits. Urban Salvaged and Reclaimed Woods Inc. is one of them, and then the Urban Wood Network is the other one. To really just educating and bringing those, because I grew up with that same childhood you did of your family's tree killers. And I grew up in California, so it was extreme. And then I realized, wait a second, this stores carbon. We're not throwing carbon into the atmosphere. So through those nonprofits, really working to educate, getting in front of LEED, getting in front of all the different entities that we need to, Sustainable Furnishings Council, and showing them wood is good and it is the best building product that we have. It's the way of the past, it's the way of the future. So yeah. So I think those things are important. Sorry to hijack your thing there.
I love to. I love for you to vote the passion. That's what I'm.
Yeah, yeah. And I just think for our industry that, together we just stick together on this. And you're right. I do see a supply chain issue in our future if we don't get in front of it. In California, many of our mills closed in the 90s. A lot of it was regulation, a lot of it was workers' compensation and all of the different employment laws that California has, that it is hard to compete. Even the minimum wage, not that any big sawmill would be paying just minimum wage, but if you're competing against lesser skilled labor and then you've got to bump up, it makes it really hard to compete. And so there's just so many factors there that I don't see the big mills coming back. But the smaller producers, more of a collaborative, cooperative style, I do see coming up and filling that gap. So I'm an optimist. We're going to find a way to produce what we need.
Yeah, and I think for future entrepreneurs who might have an interest in lumber,
Yeah.
I think there's, because I'm glad you agree with me about these large producers. I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of, I think our kind of baseline on pricing right now has a lot of room to run because, especially like for me, like I said, I'm 42 years old. I have 20 plus years left in this industry. I think we're in line for a good 20 years because we're not there's not as much competition. There's not as many people that do what we do. So
Right.
I think there's room to run in this thing for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Any words of advice for people just getting started, entrepreneurs wanting to fill that gap? Looking back 20 years ago, what would you tell them that you know now?
Be excited to work, be excited to make something every day. Get used talking to a huge range of people. The likes of people that I get it to communicate with every day is wide range. So it's it's a really, it's a great business to be in.
Yeah. Good, good. So what do you do for marketing? What's your go-to for getting word out there and selling more product?
Yeah, I really handle most of our sales. So I guess it's just this pretty face and this great voice. But no, we we hit all of the social media type, more. That's more honestly, it's the kind of a digital footprint more than it is a sales technique.
Yeah.
We from a sales side, if we are if we're ever slow, I mean, we really do it the old school way, and we make calls, calling other lumber companies, brokers, pallet shops, uh, and we have a huge footprint in the steel industry. So it's really it's and I go back to your last question. Personal relationships are still very, very important in this business.
Yeah.
So I, it's we're a primitive industry, but if
Hmm.
you have, good values, good ability to forge personal relationships, I think you could be really successful in the lumber business
Yeah.
because most of the time, word still means a lot in this business. So
Yeah. Yeah. And yes, it's a big industry and there's so much going on, but it's such a tight industry, that your integrity
Oh,
or lack
absolutely.
thereof will be found out.
Sure. That's what I was saying as far as there's, just sometimes I have a way of over generalizing things, but we are, there's not that many of us that do it when you look at the grand scheme of the world. So yes, lumber business is like a small town. Everybody knows
Yes,
each other.
it is.
Business word travels very, very fast in lumber business. So don't
Yes,
just
it does.
do what you say you're going to do, treat people right, and maybe you'll be around for 50 years, I guess.
Yeah. Do what you say you're going to do and treat people right. Exactly. And so big plans, 50 years coming up for Omega. What's the plan for celebration? Any big plans or ideas?
We'll do some we are kind of making plans for the plan now.
Okay.
Yeah. We really want to as night I guess as many people say congratulations for being in business for 50 years. We look at it as thank you to everybody who's ever worked for us or with us to make this possible. So we will put an emphasis on employee logger truck driving appreciation next year for certain. And I don't know, maybe I'll do a podcast or two.
Yeah, there you go. That's great. Yeah, that's important because without them and without the customers, it wouldn't have, no one of us can do everything. And so that's beautiful. I think that'll resonate. So I'm gonna steal that.
Not just saying this for you. We are so fortunate to have the workforce we've had for all these years. We make
That's great.
When you factor in all of our mill labor, all of our RN employees, the independent operator, truck drivers, the shift
Mhm.
haulers, you're talking about a huge network of people pushing 200 in our little organization. So I mean, it takes a team really to be successful. And this is a true team effort here every day.
That's great. It's great. I love it. All right. So, Pat, how would people get in contact with you if they wanted to reach out?
Yes. Our on the company side, omegalumber.com
Mhm.
is our website. Omega Lumber is our tag on most social media platforms,
Mhm.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then you personally, Pat Chovan, PatChovan on those same four platforms
All
is
right.
my handle. And
All
I'm
right.
always just linked out.
Using LinkedIn.
Right. Whether it's lumber or all the other things I got going on, if you ever have any interest in reaching out, I am always happy to have a conversation, have a cup of coffee, and just kind of tell our story. And outside of just, sharing what we do, I'm always happy to help give some advice or push you in the right direction if you need it. Or so
Great.
again, please reach out.
Great. Great. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for being on. Any parting words of wisdom that you'd like to share?
Go buy some nice hardwood flooring for your new beautiful house.
Yes, buy hardwoods. Buy American hardwoods, real hardwoods. All right. Well, thanks for being on today. Very nice to get to know you. And for those of you who are listening who have not yet subscribed to the Woodpreneur podcast, please go subscribe, like, and share. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.